and crying, watching over us as time goes by. Singing and crying, watching over us as time goes by. Just a little love, just a little love.
Shalom, and welcome to Hebrew Bible Secrets with your host, Rabbi Beaton. We are reading today from Mathew, the book of Mathew, starting at chapter 13. Chapter 13, verse 1. 1. The same day, Yahushua went out of the Beth house and sat by the seaside. 2. And great multitudes were gathered together to him, so that he went into a ship and sat. And the whole multitude stood on the shore. 3. And he spoke many things to them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. 4. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the birds came and devoured them up. 5. Some fell upon stony places, where they had no... 5. Some fell upon stony places, where they had not so much earth. And forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. 6. 5. Some fell upon stony places, where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. 6. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they were withered away. 7. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. 8. But other fell into good ground, and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. 9. Who has ears, let him hear. 10. And the disciples came and said to him, Why do you speak in parables? 11. He answered and said to them, Because it is given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of Shamayim, heaven, but to them it is not given. 12. For whosoever has, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundantly. But whosoever has not, from him shall be taken away even that he has. 13. Therefore I speak to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. 14. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Yeshayahu, Isaiah, which said, By hearing you shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing you shall see, and shall not perceive. 15. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. 16. But the blessing is for your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. 17. For verily I say to you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which you see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which you hear, and have not heard them. 18. You hear therefore the parable of the sower. 19. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom, and understands it not, then comes the wicked one, and catches away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which received the seed by the wayside. 20. But he that received the seed into stony places, the same is he that hears the word, and immediately receives it with joy. 21. Yet has not root in himself, but endures for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, immediately he falls away. 22. And he also that receives seed among the thorns is he that hears the word, and the care of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becomes unfruitful. 23. But he that receives seed into the good ground is he that hears the word and understands it, which also bears fruit and brings forth some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. 24. Another parable put he forth to them, saying, The kingdom of Shamayim is like a man which sowed good seed in his field. 25. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. 26. But when the blade was sprung up, and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. 27. So the servants of the householder came and said to him, Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? From where then have the tares come? 28. And he said to them, An enemy has done this. The servants said to him, Will you then that we go and gather them up? 29. But he said, No, lest while you gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. 30. Let both grow together until the harvest, and in the time of the harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather together first the tares, and bind them in the bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. 31. Another parable put he forth to them, saying, The kingdom of Shamayim is like a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field. 32. Which indeed is the least of all seeds, but when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs, and becomes an etz, a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches of it. 33. Another parable spoke he to them. The kingdom of Shamayim is like to leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened. 34. All these things spoke Yahushua to the multitude in parables, and he did not speak without a parable. 35. That it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, I will open my mouth in parables, I will utter things which have been kept secret from the foundation of the world. 36. Then Yahushua sent the multitude away, and went into the Beth, the house, and his disciples came to him, saying, Declare to us the parable of the tares of the field. 37. He answered and said to them, He that sows the good seed is the Son of Man. 38. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. 39. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the Malachim, the angels. 40. As, therefore, the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this age. 41. The Son of Man shall send forth his Malachim, his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity. 42. And shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. 43. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Av, their Father. Who has ears, let him hear. 44. Again, the kingdom of Shamayim is like a treasure hid in a field, which when a man has found, he hides, and for joy there goes and sells all that he has, and buys that field. 45. Again, the kingdom of Shamayim is like a merchant seeking goodly pearls. 46. For when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. 47. Again, the kingdom of Shamayim is like a dragnet, which was cast into the sea and gathered of every kind. 48. Which, when it was full, they drew to shore, and sat down and gathered the good into the vessels, but cast the bad away. 49. So shall it be at the end of the world. The Malachim, the angels, shall come forth, and separate the wicked from among the righteous. 50. And shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. 51. Have you understood all these things? They said to him, Yes. 52. Then he said to them, Therefore, every expert in the Torah, which is instructed to the kingdom of Shamayim, is like to a man that is a householder, which brings forth out of his treasures things new and ancient. 53. And it came to pass that when Yahushua had finished these parables, he departed there. 54. And when he had come into his own country, he taught them in their Qahal, insomuch that they were astonished and said, Where has this man this wisdom and these mighty deeds? 55. Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Miriam, and his brothers Yaakov, Joseph, and Shimon, and Yehuda? 56. And his sisters, are they not all with us? Where then did this man get all these things? 57. And they were offended in him. But Yahushua said to them, A prophet is not without respect, rescue in his own country, and in his own Beth, his house. 58. And he did not do as many miracles there because of their unbelief. Okay, so that brings us to the end of chapter 13. So if we go and have a look at some of the footnotes that we've got here, chapter 13. So the first footnote we have is in verse 4. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the birds came and devoured them. Okay, and some birds came and devoured them. Some birds. Let's have a look at this then. Birds are a symbol of satanic powers. Okay, so that's a reference to the birds are a reference to satanic powers. Okay, let's go and look to the next footnote, which is in verse 13. Therefore I speak to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. So let's have a look at this. Understand. So we have here, the blindness was national and caused by Yahweh. This does not mean that first he blinds people and then sends them to hell. He has already made provision in his great mercy for the Hebrew people. So for this, see our footnotes on Ezekiel 37. So I suggest you go and read Ezekiel 37, talking about the valley of the dry bones, and you'll get a bigger understanding that many people who are B'nai Israel, genetic Israel, will be raised at the end and be given a chance to learn Torah. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 21. Yet has he not root in himself, but endures for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, immediately he falls away. So because of the word, let's have a look at this. Some fall away from Torah because of persecution from the assemblies by people, calling them legalistic, and they, instead of enduring, fall away. So basically you have to be steadfast here. You know, if you're coming into the Torah, you know, you have to stay in it, not because, you know, run away because if somebody's trying to persecute you, you know, because of your beliefs. You have to stay steadfast in the Torah in order to get the benefits. Okay, let's have a look at the next footnote, which is in verse 23. But he that receives seed into the good ground is he that hears the word and understands it. So let's have a look at this, understands it. Torah must be received into a heart of flesh, else it is of no use to the person. So you have to be willing to want to learn the Torah. You have to have a desire for it. So if you haven't got a desire for it, then it's going to be no use to you. Okay, if you have to want to understand what God has said to you, or what God wants you to do, and you have to want to keep His commandments. Okay, the next footnote is in 32. Which indeed is the least of all seeds, but when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs, and becomes an etz, a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge into its branches. Which indeed is the least of all seeds, but when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs, and becomes an etz, a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches of it. So let's have a look at this, in the branches of it. So the remez, the hint, is of the herb, nations, and tree is Israel. One day the whole world will come to Israel so we can understand the remez, the hint. So one day the whole world is going to come to Israel for the true knowledge of the Torah. Yeah? Okay, let's go to the next footnote. So we have, next footnote in 33. Another parable spoke he to them. The kingdom of Shemayim is like to leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened. Okay, let's have a look at this quickly. The woman here in view, in our opinion, is Rome, who was in full power at the time of Yahushua, and she took the truth of Yahweh and hid it and leavened it. She indeed corrupted the teachings by hiding the real text away. The 3 measures are the different levels of believers. Although the woman hid it, but out of it, 3 levels of people came. So the first one is A. Those that are fully Torah observant. These do not care about persecution and will publish any doctrine that the Torah publishes as truth. In the end, they get vilified by the established Christian church because these people are the minority and the church, for now, the majority. So the next one is B. Those that are about 80% Torah observant. They accept those doctrines of the Torah that suit them, but reject those that they do not like or cannot fully understand. They cannot be said to be obeying the Torah fully. One such doctrine is patriarchal marriage. Some Torah conversant groups who have a hard time with it tend to lean towards asceticism, while others deny this is not at all possible today because we are not in the land of Israel, and these have instead adopted serial marriage models in which they divorce at will. While if they had accepted Torah monogamy, that calls for faithfulness, fidelity and loyalty to your one wife. There is no point in them teaching the Sabbath because by their own theology, then that is also for the land of Israel. Therefore Yahweh's law according to these people at least is only active in that small piece of land called Israel. What a shame that the Creator's laws only exist in one small area of the Middle East. This is the dilemma these people live in. These people, due to the lack of understanding, will also at times align themselves with some of the world's systems and accept some of the worldly ways as valid for today, which is a violation of Torah. And C, we have those believers, predominantly Christians, who refuse to accept Torah at all. One might ask, how can all these be leavened. This is simple to understand when you consider even many full Torah observant believers were originally leavened, but came out of the pagan church system. So all were leavened at one point in time. Okay, so that's quite a lot there to get understanding from, but all were leavened at one time. So it's basically, what level are you going to come in at? Are you going to come in and be fully Torah observant, or are you going to pick and choose, or have you decided Torah is just not for you at all? So it's up to you. If you want to be in the kingdom, everything needs to be done that we can do outside of the land. The only thing we can't do outside of the land is the sacrifices, but everything else we can do, so we must do it. So that's something to think about. Okay, so the next footnote is in verse 35, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying. Okay, so which was spoken by the prophet. So Jerome says some manuscripts which are no longer in existence identify the prophet as Asaph. 2 Chronicles 29:30. Some scribes assumed it was the prophet Isaiah, but in the early manuscripts it was Asaph and not Isaiah. The prophecy is from Psalms 78:2. So let's have a look at 2 Chronicles first, 29 and 30. 2 Chronicles 29 and 30. Moreover, Hezekiah, the king and the princes commanded the Levim to sing praise to Yahweh with the words of David, and to Asaph, the seer. And they sang praises and gladness, and they bowed their heads and prayed. So there we have it. Asaph is in 2 Chronicles. So let's have a quick look at Psalm 78 and 2. Psalm 78 and 2. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old. So we have a footnote here saying the prophet will speak in parables. Okay, so that's coming from Psalm 78 and 2. Okay. So the next footnote's in verse 55. And is not this the carpenter's son? Okay, so here we have, there is a hint here of 2 Chronicles 2 and 12, where King David's wise son is endowed with discretion and understanding, or Binah. This is one of the Sephirot which shows us that the hint in 2 Chronicles 2 and 12, a carpenter is a builder, so the Hebrew word for a builder is Banah, and the one who has understanding is Binah, to build. So we can see they are saying in the mystical, is he not the builder, the one with understanding? So let's have a look at Chronicles 2 and 12, which reads, Hiram said, moreover, blessed is Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, that made Shamayim and earth, heaven and earth, and has given to David, the king, a wise son, endued with prudence and understanding, that might build a house for Yahweh and a house for his kingdom. So we have a footnote here for kingdom. So Hiram was a good king. He had sent a letter first to congratulate King Solomon on his ascension to the throne, mentioned in 1 Kings 5 and 1. He had even heard of the name and fame of Yahweh. So that's what we have there, just to back it up in 2 Chronicles 2 and 12. So we're talking about here a wise son, somebody who's going to build him, Yahweh, a house, yeah? So here we're talking about, this was talking about King Solomon, and then we also have talking about Yahushua, the carpenter's son, the builder. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 56. And his sisters, are they not with us? So, and his sisters. Let's have a look at this quickly. So Yahushua had half-brothers and sisters that were born through Mary after Yahushua's birth. The Catholics teach that she remained a virgin, but scriptures contradict the Catholic Church readings. So after Yahushua's birth, Mary did have more children. So that now brings us to the end of chapter 13. And I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the other side. May you find rest and comfort for your souls. Thank you for watching. This is Rabbi Jeremy saying Shalom Shalom.